Welcome to Candid Conversations. Hi, I'm Dina Diamond, and today we're talking about the power of one, how one person truly can make a difference. Today we have two amazing women who've done just that. They inspire, motivate, and help hundreds of others. But first, speaking of amazing women, here they are, Becky Lantry and Gari Brandaramnath. Hello, ladies.
Hey, Dina.
How are you?
We're wonderful, thank you.
Good. Exciting show today, right?
Yes. Yes.
Definitely.
I can only imagine.
When I was a child, I was 6. I thought, I can do something. I'm going to start a business. So I decided to have a business of car washing. And I thought, I'm one woman. I can take on the whole neighborhood. I did one car and I said, that's an awful lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So I hired 2 of my friends. I said,
Right,
okay,
right.
we're going to do it. We did 3 cars. We made 75 cents and we retired.
That was it. It was over. It was 75 cents. That was it. It's really hard work. Like I remember one of my first experiences was with the lemonade stand. And I think all of us can relate to the lemonade stand. But the thing that was cool about the lemonade is you could do a variety of things with it. Like you could put it in the ice cubes and put toothpicks in it. You could actually blend it up in a blender and make a variety of different things. So it was really cool because it was one simple idea that had many different facets. And it just taught me, wow, you know, with one little thing you can have that much impact in the community. So it was fun for me to do that one.
That's so true.
Yeah.
For me, it was candy.
Candy.
Selling candy.
What kind of candy, Becky?
Like Mr. Goodbars.
Really? You just lay them all out, like the whole different kind of varieties of them?
Mr. Goodbars. And I'm telling you, the kids, you go to a baseball game,
Right.
they would actually just go right to that table.
And they had all
It worked
there.
out really well.
Yeah, you cut out the shopping
Really well.
experience. They
Yeah.
can just grab what they want right then and
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah, to give the people what they want, and that's what the women that we have on our show today are doing. They are fulfilling a very important need, and so I'm really excited that they're here to share their personal stories.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we obviously aren't that strong as they are. We thought about doing spectacular things, but didn't follow through. But thank goodness we have 2 wonderful women who are going to explain to us exactly how they did it. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Oh, hi, Rosa.
Is it time for Mama to have our baby?
No, sweetie, it's time for you to get a checkup.
A checkup? Can I go, please?
The services of Women in Children's Hospital are integrated into the new LAC USC Healthcare Network, where superior medical professionals provide clinical research and complete patient care for your community.
Ouch.
Our staff is dedicated to you and your family.
We are now joined with our first guest, Marty Martin, the chairman of the Board of Operation Gratitude. Marty, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited. I have had the pleasure of knowing you for a long time, as Operation Gratitude is my charity that I've been volunteering for years, but a lot of people don't know about it. Can you please tell us about Operation Gratitude?
Operation Gratitude sends care packages to the troops overseas, and we actually have expanded into a number of different programs. But it first started out just with Carolyn deciding that after 9/11 she had to go down and sign up to be a member of our military. And when she went in to enlist, they told her she was too old.
How dare they?
I know.
Wow.
And so she had to figure out a way to do something and just make a difference. So she decided that what she did when her children were younger was, and they went off to camp, she would send them care packages because that's how they would know that she was thinking about them.
Right.
And this really kind of evolved because she went down to volunteer at the military lounge at the LAX at the airport. And there was a gentleman that came through who was obviously agitated. And he was coming through the office there, and she was the only one there. And she said, what can I do to help you? And he said, I need to talk to a chaplain. And she said, okay, let me get a chaplain on the phone. And he said, no, I don't have that kind of time. So they sat down and talked, and he explained to her that he was home on emergency leave to bury his mother. His only child had died in childbirth, and that his wife had left him. So he said, this is my 4th time going over. I know I won't make it back, but it doesn't matter because no one would care. So with that, she went home, obviously kind of upset.
A lot to think about.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that day, Operation Gratitude was born. And the only regret she has to this day is that she doesn't know his name, because it just took her so by surprise that it never really occurred to her to get his information. So she's hoping he's received one of our care packages, and maybe sometime he'll hear this story and say, hey, I'm that guy.
Right.
Oh, God.
So that's where we started.
Oh, that's an amazing story, and it's interesting in life how sometimes you don't expect it, but things happen all at once, you know. And I think that's a general understanding. Sometimes the adversities hit you so hard, and I would think that it's so inspiring to do this kind of work that you do, where you're able to create something that really touches the lives for other people, and to customize it in such a unique way where people really feel inspired and loved from a distance, right?
Right. They are so appreciative, and I think in addition to wanting to put smiles on service members' faces and let them know that we care about them and say thank you, it's a way for us to provide a venue for Americans to be able to tangibly do something to say thank you to our troops.
Now,
so
do you still work in that office? Is it like at LAX, or is it?
No.
Actually, it's grown that big?
It immediately went to Carolyn's house.
Oh, wow.
So she stopped volunteering at the lounge at LAX, and she started sending care packages. And the first week, I think she sent about 4 to 6. The next week, it was a dozen or 2, and it just kept growing. And before we moved into the Armory, which is where we work out of now, the National Guard Armory in Van Nuys, she'd probably sent a couple thousand care packages.
Now, is this a week?
No, that was March to like September. So yeah, it was a few months.
Okay.
But now we create between 12 and 1,500 care packages in an hour.
Is it like a production line?
It is a production line.
With how many people?
Usually anywhere from 400 to 1,500.
Wow.
Yeah, on our volunteer days.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, Dina.
I
You've
do.
been
You
there.
know,
My
just
goodness.
a small family get together.
Right, right.
Moving boxes, writing cards, personalized letters. But it's so much more now. It's not just sending these care packages overseas to our soldiers and our heroes in harm's way. We're also doing stuff for the family. What other things is Operation Gratitude doing now?
Well, the first program that kind of blossomed from all of this with the troop drawdown, obviously we realized that we weren't going to be needing to send as many care packages overseas. And we had a gentleman that was running the Armory, Lieutenant Colonel Ortiz, and he knew that we had all of these bears that we couldn't put in boxes because they were too big. And so he asked if he could take 200 to 300 of them to a deployment ceremony to give to the children that were, you know, their parents were going to be leaving to go overseas. And with that, the Battalion Buddy program.
Oh, here he is.
And this is our Battalion Buddy. So he goes into the arms of the kids of parents that are deploying, and it's just been a wonderful program. From there, we had a gentleman that contacted Carolyn who was working at a Wounded Warrior Transition Unit, and he had known what it meant to get a care package. He came back, he was not injured, and he wanted to help out his brethren that were injured. And so he was working there, and he said he realized that they were feeling forgotten. So he called Carolyn and said, is there anything you can do? She said, well, of course, we'll send care packages. So with that program was born for the Wounded Warrior Transition Units. And then we had a gentleman who was going to a veterans program, a veterans event, and he said, would you mind if I took some care packages? Again, Carolyn never says no, so she said, of course. And so he took a pallet full of care packages and came back and said that grown men were in tears because it was the first time they had ever heard the words thank you.
Wow.
And with that, the veterans program was born. So now those also go off to honor flights, and we also have a caregivers care package program and also a first responder program, and we are just launching a recruit care package program so that when our recruits graduate from boot camp, they will get a Operation Gratitude care package right out of the gates. And also we're hoping to get them to all of the academies, but we'll be taking them to the Naval Academy for their graduation in May.
So all of these different things that were actually, that it gave birth to, all the different segments, they're all done at the Armory?
They're all done at the Armory, all by people like you and me.
Fantastic.
Just the most amazing group of volunteers, the enthusiasm, the patriotism. It's something you have to actually see to believe.
What did she do before she did this?
Well, in addition to being an attorney, which she says she didn't do very long, she was a PTA president and
Right.
you know, just very involved with her kids. I mean, she's been involved in so many different organizations, founding different things. I mean, there is no grass that grows under Carolyn's feet, and Dina can attest to that. 'Cause
That's true.
She's been in on all of that. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, she just is a one-woman show, and to know her is to just want to do things and never say no.
Speaking of one-woman shows, we were just talking earlier about how our first kind of expression of community connectiveness was like lemonade stands and like car washes and things of that nature. And just, you know, even in growing up and learning about the adversities that come toward you when you're trying to start something or launch something, is there anything that you can suggest or she has suggested that can be done in the face of adversity when you're building something? And that is there really a difference to start small? Because I'm sure when you started, I don't know if you knew how big it was going to get. And some of the roadblocks, can you discuss that and maybe just inspire some of our viewers as to how to push through those moments?
Well, I think I would say never give up, which, I mean, it seems cliche, but I think Carolyn would tell you that everything just kind of, when there was a need, someone filled it. And I think our country does want to thank our military, so we maybe had some inroads that we didn't even know were there. Right. And when she walked into the armory to get some extra sunscreen that they had, instead of walking out with sunscreen, she walked out with an invitation to bring the whole operation in there.
Oh my goodness.
So we've been working in there since
That's fantastic.
the fall of 2003. Yeah.
'Cause that place is huge.
It is, well, you
It's
think
just the
it's
thought.
huge. Wait till you see all the product that we have. It's not as huge as...
Well, when you're putting something together like this on such a grand scale, what keeps you motivated? What is it that inspires you to continue?
The troops. And actually, if you would allow me, I would love to read a letter that we have
love
from
that.
the
Of course,
troops.
of course.
Because
Love that.
this really is something that Carolyn and I often talk about. She said, just when you think, oh, I'm going to throw in the towel, this is, there's just too much, it's too time intensive.
It'll make
you get
keep
a letter
going.
and you just say, this is it, we got to keep going. Dearest Mrs. Blashek, I am an officer in charge of an explosive ordnance disposal platoon. We received packages sent by you and your amazing organization. Let me explain what happened. But before I do, one disclaimer if I may. I am a tough guy. Last week we had a very rough few days of constant dangerous missions. The next morning we all woke up to your packages. I don't know what it was exactly. I don't know if it was the fatigue or the beauty of your newsletter, but I broke down in a good way. For some reason, as I read the letters, especially from the kids, all of the bombs, the bullets, the stresses, the tangible weight of missing my fiancé and family, all evaporated, if only for a day. All of this happened because an extraordinary lady started something in her own home which spread like a brush fire across the country. You ignited the fire of selflessness and support in the hearts of thousands who humbly call themselves volunteers to help out people they have never met nor probably ever will. No, I like using the term angels better to describe you folks. Please tell them thanks for reminding us why it is we defuse bombs in the first place, because what could be more worthy of such endeavors than serving such an amazing people back home? All my love, ma'am. P.S. Sure, you got some tears out of me, but I swear I'm a pretty tough guy. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't turning in my man card.
God, that is just a
Very good.
fabulous
Very good.
way to wrap this up. Operation Gratitude is a fantastic organization, and it relies on the generosity of others to donate, and we certainly hope that when people see this, they will reach into their pockets, make a donation, write a letter, or go and volunteer. Marty, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
today.
so much for
Thank
coming.
Really enjoyed having you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
Marty.
much. We'll be right back with our next guest.
I thought I had everything under control. Then, one day, something happened. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know there was help. Until someone told me.
Providing access to justice, the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles can help
with domestic violence issues, eviction defense, government benefits, immigration, and other civil legal issues.
We are now being joined by Sharona Motkin, Executive Director of Generous Spoonfuls. Sharona, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sharona is here, which is very, very exciting for all of us.
We are extremely excited.
We're talking about food today. Food and love and healing and all the good stuff,
all
right?
the good stuff. Yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting Sharona last year in the hospital. My mother was receiving chemotherapy, and you came by for 15 minutes and brightened up her day by making a wonderful treat. Will you tell us about Generous Spoonfuls?
Sure. I mean, that just makes it all worthwhile.
Yes.
So Generous Spoonfuls is a nonprofit organization that specializes in culinary therapy. And the idea is that because food is such a universal language, that we all really can very comfortably connect over it. And it also is love in so many cultures that when you share food with someone, you're really, you know, touching someone's heart. And in that spirit, I brought you guys a little something today. Some fresh homemade chocolate chip cookies and marshmallows. So I'll leave that here for you.
Well, this interview is going to get very interesting talking with our mouths full, but we'll try.
Definitely. And you know, the thing I always say about you know, food is that if you close your eyes and you think about, you know, the fresh aroma of chocolate chip cookies, like it could bring back such amazing memories, whether you're sitting with your grandmother or, you know, you're at a place where you may have not felt comfortable and someone said, here's a glass of milk and cookies. And so there are so many different ways to connect food with, you know, healing properties. And that's really what we're trying to do at Generous Spoonfuls.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say definitely at the end of a stressful day, I love being able to find a unique recipe, go shop for all the organic ingredients, something unique. And as I'm chopping, as I'm collating, as I'm putting everything together, I can just feel myself healing mentally, spiritually, physically. It's amazing, the experience, if you can really have it tactile.
And that's exactly how I started the organization. I was working on Wall Street for 4 years, and you know how it is on, you know, Wall Street with the hours. I was working 60 to 80 hour weeks, and I didn't have a lot of time to myself. And you know, I really love, you know, expressing myself, you know, artistically and creatively. And so what I found that helped me was doing dinner parties for my friends once a week. And the, you know, the cooking, whether it was by myself, which was also therapeutic, but with other people, you know, created that relationship, and that's what got me through that time. And so when I left Wall Street, I decided I wanted to help other people, and this is the way that I was going to do it. So that's where Generous Spoonfuls was born from. What made me leave? I wanted to do something I was more passionate about. And I was raised in a community where a lot of value and emphasis is placed on helping others and giving back. And you know, I wasn't able to do as much of that as I wanted to do while I was working.
How long were you there?
I was there for 4 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I put my time in, and you know, now it's something that I have, and the experience is amazing that I have that under my belt, and it helped me to start Generous Spoonfuls. So I was able to take my business knowledge and use it.
So you went from a fast pace to a pace that you could really feel comfortable at.
Definitely. Okay. And I'm very comfortable in both types of worlds.
Right.
But I feel like I'm more happy and more, you know, able to be my true self when I'm giving to others.
Right. So why cookies?
Why did I bring cookies today?
No, why cookies?
Well, the cookies were, you know, about, you know, just that imagery of bringing that memory up, you know, in your minds, the, you know, the aroma of
well, the reason I asked that after seeing the cupcakes that you created, I was like, why cookies?
Well, I thought about bringing one of our kits. You know, we bring kits into the hospitals, and they're self-sustaining. They have everything you would need to decorate a cupcake. This is for institutions where we can't necessarily cook because it's not appropriate in the setting. And so in the hospital, we did cupcake decorating. We have a different theme every week, and the volunteers we have on our staff are able to use the theme of the week as a way to start a conversation that's more meaningful.
Okay. Yeah, and I would think visiting the hospitals, you probably see so many children, you know, that have terminal diseases and things. Can you give us a little story on a child that maybe was impacted by you guys coming by and sharing your program?
Sure. And it's funny, people always go towards the kids when it's
food
when
and
it's cupcake decorating, but you'd be surprised how many of, you know, we have older patients that are just on, you know, pins and, you know, waiting for us to come by every week. Wow. But let's see, a kid. You know, we worked with a child who was in pediatric oncology, and she actually had been there since she was like 1.5, and she was 3 when we had, you know, first met her, and just the most outspoken, unbelievable, you know, young girl. And she just couldn't wait to start decorating the cupcakes, and she was telling us everything that was in the box, and she, was saying, "Oh, you're the cupcake ladies, come on, I can't wait." So every week she would come in to get her treatment or get a checkup, and she would see us come with our cute little pink cart and say, "I can't wait, I'm so excited that you're here." So it's those small things where you think you're going to the hospital, and for kids it could be a very traumatic experience, and it's something like this that can help it to be a little bit more positive.
But besides doing cupcakes and going to the hospital, you do other things.
Yes. So I've done programming for single parents where we teach them how to instill in their kids self-esteem through the work in the kitchen. So it's, getting parents to, cook with their kids as a way to teach them, hey, you're good at this, whereas it's hard when your interaction with your kids might only be, I have to get dinner on the table, sit down, be quiet. Yes. Well, help them get involved, and that way it can become a positive experience where they leave thinking, wow, I just had, really nice experience with my mom and spent time together, and I learned something and I was good at it. And I think that's really amazing. So that's another one of our programs. And we also did a holiday party at Children's Hospital. And we actually did the party for the parents and the siblings of children that had terminal illnesses. So the idea was that the kids had their own party, and we wanted to pamper the family, because it's so hard when you have someone in your family, even if it's not a child, if it's anyone, the whole family's impacted.
Exactly.
And it was just a night for them to let loose. We had massages there by a wonderful company that donated that, and we had food and demos, and so it was really nice.
Wow.
That's wonderful. I would think too, in building this, you went through a transition from leaving, your corporate, so to speak, job to moving into the nonprofit. Can you give us some tips, like, to people watching that might need some inspiration around how to launch in that direction?
Sure. It was totally miraculous the way that everything started. I found that doors opened for me that I would have never thought I had the connections, and that when I was true to myself and true to what I was good at and passionate about, that things were very easily, they flowed. They were able to work out. So
it's like Joseph Campbell saying, "Follow your bliss," right?
Yes, exactly. It's that when you're true to yourself, it attracts other people to you, and it helps create a movement. And so that's kind of my story with Generous Spoonfuls. I found I had connections with people who did the craziest things, and it just happened to be what I needed at the right moment.
I was going to say, and what led you straight to the hospitals?
So it was really interesting, actually. I'm not supposed to talk too much about the hospital just because, the setting, but I went to school with a gentleman that runs the volunteer office at one of the hospitals that we're at, and he was really inspirational in starting this. I came to him with the idea, and he said, "I want this at our hospital. We're going to do whatever we can to get you here." Wonderful. So it's like, oh, wow, okay, I have no excuse now. We got to do it.
But because you're a new business and you're doing this, what is the biggest obstacle for you to expand and to succeed at the level that you would like?
That's a great question. I think it's about donations. We work off of the ability, to give this to the hospital very, very low cost. And it's hard when we're, volunteer based and all these things, and people think, oh, you're great, you're doing fine. And the truth is that we really need funds to be able to do all the good that we're doing. Right. And so I've started the organization out of my heart and, out of my own pocket, because it's something I really believed in.
You believe in it.
And so, I hope that will encourage others to believe in us as well.
And is it only one hospital that you go to, or is there several?
So the hospital that we have on a weekly basis, we have a program there that we have volunteers doing the rounds in the hospital on a daily basis in one of the hospitals. Then the Children's Hospital that's another hospital. So we work with many different organizations, and we're really happy to expand that to other organizations. So if there are organizations, out there that think that they could benefit from some of our programming, we would love to bring that to them.
Well, who wouldn't benefit from having somebody come and cook with them and take their mind off of the grime or the problems that they're personally going through?
Exactly.
It's fantastic. So right now, how are you getting funding? What is your model to go out there and solicit funds?
So it's quite unbelievable that we give this service in the hospitals, and people many times will go online afterwards and donate to us and say, "You impacted me in a way I can't even explain, and I just want to give back." So that's amazing, because that gives us the ability to bring more kids into the hospital to be able to help more people. Right. And to date, I think we've met and done culinary therapy activities with over 200 people in the hospital.
Fantastic.
Right.
Are you thinking, Sharona, to expand it into an educational program in schools, like elementary or middle school at all?
I think it would be amazing. Our current mission is to help those that might, be a little less fortunate.
Right.
Someone who might be in hospital, an old age home, someone with special needs, someone that, might feel, not as part of the community. And so they would, really appreciate
perhaps like the at-risk youth community, urban community where there aren't access to like farming or agriculture.
And we've actually worked with individuals, like with kids in the foster system, and we've done programming for them. So that, is always much needed.
Wow. I actually would, I would probably recommend your service to my granddaughter's school because she actually has one of her classmates whose little brother was diagnosed with cancer, and he's actually 3.
Wow.
So I think that would be perfect for them to actually volunteer their time to work with you.
Right, and it would raise awareness and also sensitivity in the classroom, which is important.
Very important.
I think we all agree that we would definitely recommend you and your services to everybody we know. And so first of all, thank you so much for giving your time and cookies.
Oh, the cookies.
Thank you so very
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
We certainly will, and we certainly hope that you enjoyed today.
It was amazing.
We had two wonderful guests showing us that one person truly can make a difference. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.